Commander Sujin stood on the observation deck of the Galactic Council flagship, staring at the holographic display of Earth. The blue-green planet looked deceptively peaceful from this distance, betraying no hint of the technological revolution that had transformed humanity in the last decade. They've ignored 3 diplomatic envoys, High Counselor Taiho said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Their message remains unchanged. The room fell silent as Earth's transmission played again, a simple text-only message broadcast on all frequencies. To all approaching vessels, Earth is closed. You brought this upon yourselves. This is your final warning. Sujin frowned. Humanity had been part of the Galactic Council for nearly a century before abruptly cutting all ties 5 years ago. No explanation, no negotiation. Just silence followed by this cryptic warning. The Council has voted, Taiho continued. We cannot allow a member species to possess technology we cannot detect or understand. The containment fleet launches tomorrow. Sujin turned away from the hologram, her gaze meeting the worried expressions of the other commanders gathered in the room. She had served the Council for 30 years, but never had she faced a mission with such high stakes. What if they fight back? Asked Commander Dae, his fingers nervously tapping the table. Our intelligence reports suggest they've developed something unusual. Taiho waved a dismissive hand. Humans are clever, yes, but they are still primitive compared to the combined might of the Council. Our technology is thousands of years ahead of theirs. Sujin wasn't so sure. In her years working with humans, she had learned one important lesson: never underestimate them. Humans had a unique way of thinking that other species found hard to predict. I want to see the original reports, Sujin said. All of them, not just the summaries. Taiho looked annoyed but nodded to his assistant. Minutes later, Sujin was scrolling through hundreds of documents on her tablet. What she found disturbed her deeply. 5 years ago, a Council science team had visited Earth to collect data on human development. According to official records, they left peacefully after completing their mission. But these raw reports told a different story. The team had secretly taken samples of advanced human technology being developed in a research facility called Project Dawn. 3 weeks later, the human governments discovered the theft. 1 month after that, Earth cut all ties with the Council. Sujin looked up from the tablet. We stole from them. The room went silent. It was authorized research collection, Taiho said stiffly. Standard procedure for monitoring developing species. Not according to our own laws, Sujin countered. The humans were full Council members, not a developing species. We had no right to take their technology without permission. That's beside the point now, said Commander Yoon, an old veteran with scars across his face. The humans are developing weapons that could threaten Council security. Our scouts have detected energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before coming from their moon base. Sujin stood up. So our plan is to send a containment fleet because they caught us stealing from them. Have we tried simply apologizing? The room erupted in laughter. Taiho's 4 eyes narrowed at her. Commander Sujin, you've spent too much time with humans. They are just one species among thousands in our Council. They do not dictate terms to us. Sujin walked back to the hologram of Earth. She had lived among humans for 10 years as a diplomatic officer. She had made friends there, learned their languages, enjoyed their food and music. She understood them better than anyone else in this room. They won't back down, she said quietly. It's not in their nature. If we send a fleet, they will fight. Then they will lose, Taiho said simply. The containment protocol has been approved. 2,000 ships will surround Earth tomorrow. They will have one final chance to rejoin the Council under strict supervision, or we will enforce compliance. Sujin felt a chill run down her spine. You're making a terrible mistake. Later that night, alone in her quarters, Sujin replayed Earth's message again. You brought this upon yourselves. The words haunted her. What had humans discovered that made them so confident they could stand against the entire Galactic Council? She made her decision quickly. Using her commander's access codes, She sent a private transmission to her old human friend, Dr. Kim, who worked at the Lunar Research Facility. The Council is sending 2,000 ships to Earth tomorrow. They don't understand what they're walking into, do they? The reply came an hour later. No, they don't. But you always did understand us, Sujin. Get as far from that fleet as you can. What's coming can't be stopped now. Sujin packed a small bag and headed for the shuttle bay. She had sworn an oath to the Council, but she had also sworn to protect innocent lives. Whatever humanity had built to defend themselves, she knew it would be devastating. The Council was too proud to see the truth. You don't corner a species known for their resourcefulness and expect them to surrender. As her small shuttle broke away from the flagship, Sujin looked back at the massive vessel that would lead tomorrow's doomed fleet. She sent one final message to the Council chambers. They warned us. We didn't listen. You brought this upon yourselves. Admiral Siok stood on the bridge of the Galactic Council's flagship, the Eternal Dominion, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. Earth's solar system appeared before him. The yellow sun at its center, with its planets orbiting in peaceful patterns. The third planet, that small blue-green world, seemed so insignificant against the backdrop of space. Entering Sol system now, his navigator announced. No detection of human vessels. Siok frowned. This was unexpected. Intelligence reports had clearly indicated that Earth had been building a defensive fleet over the past 5 years. His scouts had detected unusual energy signatures and construction activities around the Moon and Mars. Yet now, as his armada of 2,000 warships entered the system, there was nothing to greet them. No ships, no defenses, not even a communication. Strange, Siok muttered. Where are they hiding? Commander Jin approached him with a tablet. Sir, all ships report ready for combat deployment. The containment grid can be established within 30 minutes. Siok nodded but continued staring at the screen. Something felt wrong. In his 300 years of military service, he had never encountered a situation quite like this. Humans were known for their unpredictability, but this silence was unnerving. What do the deep scans show? He asked. Jin checked his data. Earth itself appears normal. Cities, infrastructure, atmospheric composition, all consistent with our last records. But there is minimal space traffic, only a few hundred satellites and a small station in low orbit. And their moon base. Still there, sir. Energy readings are significantly higher than 5 years ago, but we can't determine what they're doing. Our sensors can't penetrate their shielding. Siok tapped his fingers on the command console. The Council had been clear. Establish a blockade. Demand that humans submit to technology regulations and use force if necessary. But how do you blockade an enemy that doesn't show itself? Sir, called the sensor officer, we're receiving unusual energy readings from Earth's moon. Siok moved quickly to the sensor station. The readings made no sense. Energy patterns unlike anything in the Council's extensive database. They fluctuated rapidly, creating wave-like patterns that seemed to ripple through subspace. Full stop, Siok ordered. All ships maintain position. But it was too late. The first wave hit them before his order could reach the fleet. The space around the Eternal Dominion rippled like disturbed water. Alarms blared across the bridge as systems began failing one after another. Report. Siok shouted over the chaos. Sir, we're losing power, Jin called out. Propulsion systems offline. Communications failing. The view screen flickered, showing glimpses of the other ships in the fleet. They were drifting, their lights blinking out one by one. Some appeared to be changing somehow, their hulls stretching and distorting as if being pulled by an invisible force. Sir, we're receiving unusual readings from everywhere, the science officer stammered. It's as if space itself is being manipulated around us. Another wave hit, stronger than the first. The ship groaned, metal stretching in ways it was never designed to do. The gravity fluctuated, sending crew members floating momentarily before slamming them back to the deck. What is happening? Siok demanded. But deep down, he already knew. The Council had gravely miscalculated. The view screen stabilized briefly, showing Earth's moon. A massive structure had appeared on its surface, glowing with a blue-white light that pulsed in rhythm with the waves hitting the fleet. It hadn't been there moments ago, or perhaps it had been hidden somehow. A transmission cut through the static on their communications system. A simple text message displayed on all screens. You were warned. Siuk felt a cold realization wash over him. Commander Su Jin had tried to tell them. The humans weren't building warships or conventional weapons. They were developing something far more dangerous. Technology that could manipulate the fundamental fabric of reality itself. Sir, Jin whispered, pointing to the view screen. The stars were changing position. Impossible, unless. They're moving us, Siuk realized aloud. The entire fleet. They're transporting us somewhere. The final wave hit with overwhelming force. The bridge lights failed completely, plunging them into darkness pierced only by emergency lighting. When power partially returned minutes later, the view screen showed a completely different starfield. Location, Siuk demanded. The navigator worked frantically at his console. Unknown, sir. These stars don't match any charted region in our database. A new message appeared on their screens. Your fleet has been relocated to a safe region 500 light-years from Earth. You have resources for 10 years. We have left you intact translation technology and star charts to help you find your way home. Do not return to Earth space. This displacement technology is now active throughout our solar system and will automatically send any Council vessels to increasingly distant locations. The third breach will be one way. Siak sank into his command chair. 2,000 ships, the pride of the Galactic Council, neutralized without a single shot fired. No casualties, but utterly defeated. The humans had found a way to simply remove any threat without destroying it. A show of power and mercy simultaneously that would send shockwaves through the galaxy once word got out. Sir, Jin said quietly, what are your orders? Siak stared at the alien stars surrounding them. Send a message to all ships. Perform damage assessment and prepare for long-range travel. He paused, then added, and record this in the official log. The human warning was accurate. We brought this upon ourselves. Dr. Jiwoo stood at the massive curved window of the Lunar Command Center, watching the tiny points of light that represented the Council fleet. The ships looked like stars against the blackness of space as they approached Earth. Behind him, 50 of humanity's brightest minds worked at their stations, monitoring the dimensional shift array that covered half of the moon's far side. They're entering formation, said Lieutenant Min, her voice calm despite the tension filling the room. 2,000 ships, just as our intelligence reported. Jiwoo nodded. He had spent 15 years of his life developing this technology. 15 years since the Council representatives had stolen his early prototypes from his lab in Seoul. That theft had changed everything. It had opened humanity's eyes to the truth they had ignored for too long. General Hyun stepped beside him at the window, her uniform crisp despite having been awake for nearly 48 hours. They never took us seriously, she said, watching the approaching fleet, even after we repeatedly warned them. Jiwoo nodded. The Council had harvested human ideas for generations, using humanity's unique creativity while keeping them restricted to appropriate technology levels, all while secretly stealing Earth's resources and manipulating human governments. We were nothing but clever animals to them, Jiwoo said softly. Lab rats who occasionally came up with useful ideas they could take. The truth had been hidden in plain sight. For 97 years, humanity had been part of the Galactic Council, thinking themselves equals among the stars. But encrypted files recovered from a crashed Council ship had revealed the truth. Earth had been classified as a resource world, a planet whose native species was useful but not considered truly equal. Council records showed how they had deliberately slowed Earth's technological progress, denied humans access to advanced medical technologies that could have saved billions of lives, and secretly extracted rare minerals from Earth's crust the human instruments couldn't even detect, all while their ambassadors smiled and spoke of galactic brotherhood. The array is at full power, called Dr. Song from her console. Dimensional coordinates locked. Jaiwu turned from the window. The center of the command room held a holographic display of the solar system. The Council fleet appeared as red dots now gathered near Earth's orbit. Around them, a blue field was beginning to form, the first visible sign of the dimensional shift technology. "They're scanning the moon now," Lieutenant Min reported. "They've detected our energy signature." "Of course they have," Hyun said with a small smile. "We want them to see what's coming." They had their warnings. The last warning had been 5 years ago, when humanity had severed all ties with the Council. "Earth is closed," they had broadcast across all frequencies. "You brought this upon yourselves." But the Council, in their arrogance, couldn't accept that humans might choose independence. They certainly couldn't imagine that humans might develop technology beyond their understanding. "They're sending a message," said the communications officer, "demanding our immediate surrender and technology compliance inspection." "No response," ordered Hyun. Jae-woo watched the hologram as the dimensional shift array activated. The principles had come to him in a dream. The idea that reality wasn't fixed but malleable, that space itself could be folded like paper. What the Council had stolen from his lab were merely theoretical calculations. What humanity had built was something far more powerful. The blue field around the fleet began to pulse. On the hologram, ripples of energy flowed from the lunar surface, surrounding the red dots of the Council ships. "First phase shift underway," Dr. Song announced. "Reality fabric is responding normally." Jae-woo held his breath. This was the largest application of the technology they had ever attempted. They had tested it on small objects, then larger vessels, but never on 2,000 massive warships at once. The command center fell silent as everyone watched the hologram. The blue field intensified, then began to distort, stretching like pulled taffy into a tunnel shape that extended beyond the display's boundaries. "Dimensional corridor stable," reported Dr. Song. "Target coordinates locked." The destination wasn't random. They had selected a star system 500 light-years away, uninhabited but with planets containing necessary resources. The Council ships would have enough supplies to survive while they repaired any damage and began the long journey home. Humanity wasn't monstrous. They didn't want war or revenge. They just wanted to be left alone. "Phase 2 beginning," Dr. Song said. On the hologram, the red dots began to stretch, elongating as they were pulled into the dimensional corridor. Outside the window, Ji-woo could see the actual fleet in the distance, their forms becoming blurry, as if seen through running water. "Structural integrity of all vessels is being maintained," reported another scientist. "They're experiencing system failures but no catastrophic damage." Jai-woo allowed himself to breathe again. This wasn't about destruction. It was about protection. "Dimensional shift complete," announced the AI system that controlled the array. Its voice was calm and emotionless. "Council fleet has been relocated." The hologram showed empty space where the fleet had been. The blue field collapsed back into the array, power levels returning to normal. Outside the window, the distant lights of the fleet had vanished. Ji-woo closed his eyes briefly. Not destroyed. Humanity wasn't monstrous, but removed to a place where they could do no harm. The ships could return to their homes eventually, but not to Earth. Never again to Earth. "Send the final message," Hyun ordered. Ji-woo nodded to the communications team. The message they had prepared was comprehensive, containing not just words but evidence. Every Council deception, every theft, every manipulation documented in detail, along with footage of the fleet's relocation. It would be transmitted to every Council world simultaneously, bypassing all security protocols using technology the Council didn't know humans possessed. "The truth deserves to be free," Ji-woo said quietly. As the message began transmitting, Ji-woo felt a weight lift from his shoulders. For 15 years, he had carried the burden of creating this technology, knowing it would be used to change the course of human history. Now that moment had come. "What do you think they'll do?" asked Hyun, her voice softer now that the immediate danger had passed. Jae-woo looked back out the window at the stars. "They'll come to understand what we've always known. Freedom isn't given. It's taken." On planet Viridian, in the heart of the Galactic Council territory, Jun sat in a crowded bar, watching the largest screen on the wall. He had stopped by for a simple drink after his shift at the spaceport. Now, like everyone else in the room, he couldn't look away from what was playing. The screen showed Earth, a planet Jun had visited only twice as a cargo pilot. But what followed was no regular news broadcast. The image shifted to show documents, recordings, and data files streaming across the screen. The bar fell completely silent. "This is a direct transmission from Earth," said a calm human voice. "What you are about to see has been hidden from the citizens of the Galactic Council for over a century." Jun watched as the evidence unfolded. Secret council meetings discussing how to limit human technological development. Reports classifying Earth as a resource world rather than an equal member. Footage of council ships extracting rare minerals from Earth's crust using cloaking technology. Records of council agents infiltrating human governments to manipulate global decisions. "They've been lying to us," whispered someone at the next table. "About everything." The transmission continued, showing how the council had stolen human innovations for generations. Designs created by human minds were modified slightly and then claimed as alien inventions. Medical technologies that could have saved millions of human lives were deliberately kept from Earth to maintain appropriate development curves. Jun felt sick. He had worked for the Council Transport Authority for 20 years, believing he served an honorable organization that united the galaxy in peace. The evidence before him told a different story. "They even stole their dimensional technology," said a Nebulan trader beside him, pointing at the screen. "Look at those dates." The screen showed a human scientist named Ji-woo presenting early research on dimensional physics. The time stamp was from 15 years ago. Then it showed council scientists taking his work during what was supposed to be a routine cultural exchange. The same council scientists later claimed the discovery as their own. "We trusted them," the human narrator continued. "We joined the council believing we were becoming part of a greater community. We did not realize we were simply being harvested." The transmission shifted to recent events. It showed the council's vote to send a fleet to Earth. It showed Commander Soo-jin, a respected council officer, discovering the truth and trying to warn the council leadership. It showed her warnings being dismissed. Then came footage that made everyone in the bar gasp. The council fleet, 2,000 of the most powerful warships ever built, approaching Earth, the strange blue field forming around them, the ships elongating, stretching, and then vanishing. "This technology," explained the human voice, "is what the council tried to steal from us. What they believed was a weapon is actually a means of transportation. We have relocated your fleet to a habitable star system 500 light-years from Earth. The ships are intact. The crews are unharmed. They have sufficient resources to repair any systems damaged during transit and begin their journey home." The screen showed the destination, a peaceful solar system with several rocky planets where the fleet now orbited. "But understand this clearly," the voice continued, now firm and unyielding. "You brought this upon yourselves. Humanity offered friendship, and you responded with deceit. We offered cooperation, and you chose exploitation. We offered warnings, and you chose invasion." Jun noticed many in the bar nodding. Even aliens who had never particularly liked humans seemed moved by the evidence. "We have now closed Earth space permanently." The transmission continued. "Any further attempts to approach our system will result in similar consequences. Each breach will send vessels farther from known space. The third breach will be one way. We will not be contacting you again." The screen showed a final image, the dimensional technology surrounding Earth's entire solar system like a protective bubble. Then the transmission ended, replaced by the regular news channel where confused council broadcasters were trying to make sense of what had just happened. The bar erupted in conversation. Hajun sat quietly, processing what he had seen. "It's fake," insisted a council security officer sitting nearby. "Human propaganda." "How could they fake council security footage?" argued a merchant. "Those meeting rooms are in the central citadel. No outsider has access." "My cousin works on a mining ship," said another patron. "He always said they took special missions near Earth where they turned off all external communications. Now we know why." Hajun stood up and paid for his drink. Outside, he could see people gathered in the streets, all looking at public screens or their personal devices. The transmission had gone everywhere, to every council world, every outpost, every ship. He passed a council government building where workers were streaming out, looking confused and angry. Some carried data tablets or boxes of personal items. "They can't expect us to keep working for them after this," shouted one worker. On another street, Hajun saw protesters already gathering. They held signs hastily made from whatever materials were available. "The council lied," read one. "Equal rights for all worlds," read another. His communicator buzzed with messages from friends and family across 3 different planets, all asking if he'd seen the transmission. As he walked through the city, Hajun could feel something fundamental changing. The council had maintained its power through a carefully cultivated image of wisdom and fairness. That image had just been shattered. Near the central plaza, Hajun stopped to watch as a group of citizens tore down a banner bearing the council insignia. In its place, they hung the simple blue-green circle, the image of Earth. His communicator buzzed again. It was a message from his transport company. "All flights to council administrative worlds suspended indefinitely due to civil unrest. Stand by for further instructions." Hajun looked up at the night sky, where stars twinkled peacefully. Somewhere out there, a fleet of warships was beginning a long journey home. Somewhere else, a blue-green planet had just changed the galaxy forever with a simple message. "You brought this upon yourselves." Su Jin straightened her new diplomatic uniform as she walked along the curved hallway of the new council headquarters. 5 years had passed since Earth's message had changed everything. 5 years since the old council had collapsed under the weight of its own lies. She paused at the large viewing window overlooking the rebuilt council chamber. The room below looked nothing like the old chamber. Gone were the raised platforms that had physically placed some species above others. Gone were the ornate thrones and luxury boxes for the privileged races. Instead, a simple circular arrangement of identical seats surrounded a central speaking area. "Quite a change, isn't it?" asked Minho, her assistant, joining her at the window. Su Jin nodded. After Earth's revelation, protests had erupted across 1,000 worlds. Council leaders had resigned or been removed. Some had faced trials for their actions. The carefully maintained hierarchy that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years had crumbled in less than 6 months. "I never thought I would see this day," Su Jin admitted. After sending her warning to Earth 5 years ago, she had expected to be arrested for treason. Instead, she had become a symbol of the new order, someone who had chosen truth over loyalty to a corrupt system. "The human ambassador has arrived," Minho informed her, checking his tablet. "They're in the preparation room." Su Jin felt a flutter of nervousness. This meeting had taken 3 years to arrange. After Earth's dimensional displacement of the Council fleet, humanity had sealed its solar system and refused all contact. Only after the complete restructuring of the galactic government had they finally agreed to limited diplomatic talks. "How many security scans did they request?" Su Jin asked as they walked toward the meeting room. "None," Minho replied with surprise in his voice. "They only asked that the meeting be broadcast live to all member worlds." This surprised Su Jin. After everything that had happened, she had expected extreme caution from the humans. The lack of security demand suggested either great trust or great confidence in their abilities. The preparation room doors slid open as they approached. Inside stood a small group of officials from various worlds, all members of the new council's diplomatic corps. At the center was a human woman in a simple blue suit. Ambassador Yun. Su Jin said with a formal bow. I am High Representative Su Jin. Welcome to the new council. The human ambassador returned the bow. Thank you for the invitation, Representative. It has been a long time. Su Jin studied the woman's face. Ambassador Yun showed no signs of fear or distrust, only a calm attentiveness that commanded respect. The chamber is ready, Min Ho announced. The broadcast will begin in 5 minutes. As they walked toward the council chamber, Su Jin felt the need to say something personal. I want to apologize, she said quietly to Ambassador Yun, for what the old council did to your people. Yun smiled slightly. You have nothing to apologize for. You were one of the few who tried to warn them. Not soon enough, Su Jin replied. I knew for years that humans were being treated unfairly, but I stayed silent until the end. We all make choices, Yun said. What matters is that when the moment came, you chose rightly. They reached the main doors of the council chamber. Beyond them, representatives from over 500 worlds waited. Many more watched via broadcast. This meeting would be the most viewed event in galactic history. The doors slid open, and a hush fell over the chamber. Su Jin led Ambassador Yun to the central speaking area while the other officials took their seats. Representatives of the new council. Su Jin began, her voice carrying through the chamber. I present Ambassador Yun of Earth, who speaks for humanity. Yun stepped forward, her calm presence immediately commanding attention. The silence in the room was absolute. 5 years ago, she began, humanity sent a message to the galaxy. It was not a message we wanted to send, but one we felt we had to send. Today, I come with a different message. She paused, looking around the chamber at the faces of so many different species. Humanity doesn't seek revenge or domination, she continued. We only wanted what all sentient species deserve, the freedom to develop without interference, and the right to protect ourselves from those who would exploit us. Several representatives nodded in agreement. The new council had been founded on exactly these principles. For nearly a century, we believed we were part of something greater than ourselves. Yun said, when we discovered the truth, we felt betrayed and alone. We chose isolation because we saw no other safe option. She gestured to the chamber around them. But what you have built here appears to be something different. Your new council seems to understand that true unity can only come from equality and respect. Perhaps now we can start again, as equals this time. A murmur of approval spread through the chamber. Su Jin felt a surge of hope loom in her chest. For 5 years, she had worked to help build this new alliance, never knowing if humanity would ever rejoin the galactic community. Earth is prepared to open limited diplomatic relations, Yun announced. We will maintain our protective dimensional field, but we will establish an embassy here and allow a new council embassy on our moon. And your technology? Asked a representative from the back of the chamber. Will you share the dimensional shift capabilities? A tense silence followed the question. The dimensional technology it had relocated 2,000 warships without harming them was the most advanced feat of engineering the galaxy had ever witnessed. Yun's expression remained calm. We will share certain technologies gradually, as trust builds. The dimensional shift technology will remain protected for now, not as a weapon, but as our shield. She looked directly at Su Jin. We have learned that true friends don't demand access to your home or your innovations. They respect your boundaries and earn your trust. Su Jin nodded in understanding. Trust would take time to rebuild. Our message 5 years ago was harsh but necessary. Yun concluded. You brought this upon yourselves was not just an accusation, but a reminder that actions have consequences. Today, I bring a new message. We all have the chance to do better. Humanity is ready to try if you are. As applause filled the chamber, Su Jin watched the faces of the representatives. Where once there had been hierarchy and hidden agendas, she now saw hope and genuine desire for a better future. The message had been harsh but necessary. You brought this upon yourselves. But the unspoken conclusion was now being spoken clearly, and now we have the chance to do better.